Good day, everyone. You are again here with the St. Lucie County Public Schools Speakers Bureau. What a privilege it is for me to be the host of this program. I want to thank our school board and our superintendent to have me as a representative here to bring the community to the schools in the way of telling their stories. So we have a very special guest here today that I don't want to hesitate introducing. I've known him for many, many years as a young boy, in fact.
Yes, ma'am.
And now he is a grown man.
Yes, I am.
And it's such a wonderful thing for me to see a child grow up into a man and end up being such a blessing to this community as you have been.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start out with introducing who you are a little bit, and then we're going to talk about your life story.
Okay.
And so his name is Darcy McFolly, Sr.
Yes.
He was born and raised here in the beautiful city of Fort Pierce. So both born and raised here. That means he attended our public school system, where he earned his high school diploma at Lincoln Park Academy.
Yes.
Years later, he earned a certificate in culinary arts from the Adult and Community Education School of Indian River County. And he took many paths in his life that have eventually led him to a road of success. So Mr. Darcy McFolly has a successful story that he's going to share with us today. He wears many hats.
Yes.
Okay. By day, he's an outreach worker, supervisor of Ignite Youth Alliance, where he works with gang-involved youth. By night, he trades hats, and he becomes a behavior health technician for wellness counseling, assisting clients on the road to recovery. Mm-hmm. So we want to hear a little bit about both of those,
Yes.
and a little bit about your family,
Yes, ma'am.
and your passion for this community and
Yes,
the people of this community.
Okay.
I want to start out by asking you, what was it like growing up as a child for you? Before you go into that, first tell us about your work here in this community, because by day you're doing one thing, by night another.
Yes. Okay. My work in this community, first of all, is to be the best person I could be. I work for Ignite Youth Alliance, a product of the Roundtable St. Lucie County, and we go out in the community and we provide mentor services to gang-related youth. Mm-hmm. And so my work is to be a good person and show these young men that we work with that you are capable of success.
And how long have you been doing this?
I was an outreach worker, I believe, for 2 years out in the community when the initiative first started. Then I was promoted to the outreach supervisor.
Wow.
So now, I supervise 4 guys that go out in the community and provide the mentor services, and I fill in the gap. So, when I'm needed to go out in the community and into the streets, I go out and do the things I need to do to help inspire the young men and inspire my co-workers that work with me.
And you said these young men are involved in gangs?
Yes.
When you find them, or are they still involved while you're working with them? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, these young men that we work with, they are involved in gangs or they're associated with gang members. And so once we get involved in these young men's lives, we try to build a relationship with them. Because we have to understand these young men not getting a lot of services that they really need to become better citizens or better people. And so once we get to know these young men, we build a relationship and we become advocates for them. So we see things that's going on in their personal lives, at home, in the community. We able to relate this to a group of people that's involved in our intervention team. And once we bring these concerns, we try to break through them and provide the services they need.
So if there's a young man out there now who says, now I can use this group of mentors, I can use this type of support, I don't want to live this type of life. Or there's a parent out there that may be saying, I think my son is involved in some of this activity, and I want more for him. Tell us, how would they get in contact with you? What's that process?
Well, first off, if you like in the community, a parent, or just a concerned citizen, or uncle, auntie, you could go on our website, the Roundtable St. Lucie County,
Okay.
and go to Alliance Youth Ignite Youth Alliance. Click on that on our page, and there's a referral form right there. You just fill out that referral form and email it to us. We get it, and we'll go out into the community and try to get some information about this young man, and we'll make face-to-face contact with this individual.
That's great. Now, but what if your grandma don't know how to use online sources? Is there another way that they can contact? If you said round table, so everybody remembers round table. That's the start.
Yeah,
that's the
round
beginning. Round table. You can Google it and get the information to that organization. But if you don't know how to use a computer, grandma, then how would we go about doing that?
Well, we're known in the school system, so we work with all the schools that's in the Lincoln Park area.
Okay.
So if a parent or grandparent is concerned, they just can reach out to the schools, reach out to the guidance counselor, and they know how to get in contact with us.
Beautiful.
Because we get a lot of referrals from the school.
Okay.
So if that individual goes to a certain school, you just reach out to the school and like, hey, I heard about this organization called Ignite Youth Alliance, and I want my son to be a part because I see some things going on. And then the school can make that referral to us, and we'll be able to start that process.
Great, wonderful. How long has the Round Table been doing this Ignite program?
Well, we have started in 2015 because we were formerly known as Restoring the Village Youth Initiative.
That's how I remember.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So we just had a name change about 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
We changed the name to Ignite Youth Alliance, but the community knows us as Restoring the Village Youth Initiative. So we've been around for like 5 years now.
5 years now. What difference do you believe you've made? Have you been around long enough to see a difference? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yes, I have seen a tremendous growth in some of the guys that's been in the program for at least 3 to 4 years. We noticed that the longer they're in the program and getting these mentor services, something happens. We wish it could happen overnight, but through the research and what we're seeing, that it takes about 2 to 3 years for one of these individuals to start thinking positive, and always something drastic in their life happen.
Yes.
It could be, I'm about ready, I have enough credits to graduate. So they see that goal at hand, and like, well, let me get on track and let me get my diploma. Some of them have kids, some of them have become fathers. And since most of our young men that we mentor don't have that positive role model at home, they don't want their child to be neglected. So they start to say, okay, I need to be there for my child, so I need to work. I need to have a stable place to stay so I can support my child and my child's mother. So
Right. Now, we are going to very soon have a program,
yes, ma'am.
Fathers Honoring Fathers.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are one of our honorees.
Yes.
We will be honoring 18 men in this community that give back to this community in a tremendous way.
Yes, ma'am.
And we are so privileged to honor you, Mr. McFolly, because I have watched your work, we've watched your work, we've seen what you've been doing, and it's no easy task.
Yes, ma'am.
And we understand that. And hopefully, at that event, we will see some of your young men that you guys work with.
Yes, ma'am.
Because for them to see men being honored for their tremendous work and giving back to this community, I'm sure that will help
Yes, ma'am.
some of them. So we're excited about that. That's coming up. Tell us now. Now, you said you have a night. You change hats.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us a little bit about your work in the evening.
At nighttime, I work in Martin County for wellness counseling services. I work at a PHP house, partial hospitalization program, where after young adults and adults go through detox and residential services, they go through PHP. And that's a house where they stay together as a community. They eat together, and we go to meetings, and basically what I do there is just be an ear. I be an ear to the people that I service at nighttime. So when I see something's not right, I'm able to go to them and just listen. And after I listen, I'll be able to share some things that possibly could help them. And also, you know, if I see something not to right, I also, you know, will call our clinical directors and just let them know there's some concerns going on with this individual. And I just be a person that they can relate with.
How did you get involved in that type of work?
Well, growing up in St. Lucie County, even though I did graduate from Lincoln Park Academy with honors.
Oh, that's a good thing.
I did go through drug addiction.
Okay.
So I went through drug addiction and was going through a revolving door in the community from back and forth in jail and prison. And once I was released the last time, I got tired. And so I had volunteered to go into an IOP program myself, intensive outpatient program, where I was able to go get counseling and services and going to different AA and NA meetings. And so I completed that program in 12 weeks. And so I wanted to do that because I needed more tools to put in my belt. So in case I did want to use it, I had something to work with. And having positive people in my life, my mentor, Elder Terrence Buford, having people in my life to help me during those times, it kind of made me feel like, okay, I can do this. And so as I was working, doing lawn work, an individual working with us had got a job with this company, and he told me about it. And so I said, well, no, well, let me give that a try. So I went and took my little portfolio with my educational accomplishments, and I also took my completion from the program certificate to the to my interview. And so they went through my portfolio and they seen this and that, but when they seen that completion from the IOP program, they say this is what we need in our program, that somebody that been through it and know how it is and be able to overcome it.
Yes, and I'm sure it's the same thing with the Ignite program, with the round table, that to have someone go out there on the streets to find young people that are involved in gangs. They need someone with a special background. Now you mentioned the night job and how you got involved in that, and what you're doing now with the youth anti-gang initiative. Let me ask you, in dealing with the youth and dealing with your evening program, you also said in your story that you have been back and forth into jail and drug addiction. How do you go, and then you mentioned being an honored student. You know, you graduated with honors. Now we know what drugs can do, and it doesn't care who you are or what you've done.
Yes, ma'am.
But can you take us back a little bit more to your childhood life, and because it sounds like you did really well till after you graduated. But help us out a little bit with that story.
Okay.
And there's a lot of young people out there now and young adults who have gotten themselves in trouble, and they've actually have court records and felonies.
Yes.
And they think that life is basically over when it comes to job and career.
Yes,
nobody's going to hire me, you know. How did you get people to even hire you? Do you have a felon?
I have 9 felonies.
Oh my gosh. And so there are people out there that need to hear, how did you get from where you were to where you are now?
Wow.
You know, that's a big jump.
Yes, it is.
And we want to make sure that they understand that anyone can start over again.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, this first point, just growing up, I had a lot of trauma in my life as a young person. First of all, I think I was about 7. My mom had left me and my older brother with our grandparents. So coming home after school and not seeing my mother's stuff in the closet, in the dresser drawers, and not knowing where she at, not hearing from her for probably 2 years, kind of that when the process started for me.
Okay.
Feeling like it was my fault, that my mom is not there no more. Also, growing up, my dad wasn't in my life either, because he was doing time in prison. But eventually, I kind of you know, we found out where my mom was at, and she got caught up in addiction herself.
Okay.
And my dad, he finally got out when I was about 8 years old from doing time in prison. But I was raised by my grandparents, and they did what they knew how to do. Coming from Georgia, my grandma had like probably a 5th, 6th grade education. My granddad probably, he didn't know how to read, but he knew how to count money, and he worked every day. And so they just gave me a structure. Growing up in St. Lucie County, you know, my grandmother, she attended St. Paul and Me Church right here in Fort Pierce, and she just took me to church every
Strong
Sunday.
in her faith, yeah.
Just strong, and then there was a lot of men in the church, community men, some strong men in the church, and they had, you know, took the time out with us, with me and other young men that was growing. So I kind of did have some structure and some role models in my life, and also you and Mr. Mills, Pastor Mills, I used to jump on that bus.
That's where I know you from.
I used to jump on that bus, Soul Saving Station, Save My Children, and I seen positive people in my life. I went to school. One of my best friends' mom, Ms. Dean Drummond. She's the dean at Lincoln Park Academy.
Okay.
My best friend mom used to take time out and help me with some of my homework, especially when I got in middle school and high school. My grandmother and my grandparents could help me with that.
Right.
And so I had people that really took time out and helped me during my younger life. But once I started hanging out and started using drugs, started smoking marijuana, started drinking.
It started with the marijuana thing, and then the drinking,
then
and
the drink.
it elevates.
It is elevated because I was going to college at Inner River State College. I wanted to be. I was majoring in computer science, but the drugs.
Yeah.
I also was trying to work too. I had a part-time job and going to school at night. But just them drugs
make a difference.
It makes a difference.
It pulls you down.
It pulled me slap down. And once the drugs started, I left the city. I moved to Orlando. Didn't do no better up there. Got into some more stuff. More drugs.
Right.
Came back to Fort Pierce. Some of my
nine times in and out. Nine felonies.
9 felonies. They ain't the felonies. It started there. It started when I moved back and I started just hanging with my peers that I grew up with. They was involved into the streets.
Right.
And so when my grandma passed, I took that as a reason for me to go out and just start doing whatever I wanted to do. I took that as a crutch, but it really wasn't a crutch.
Right.
But me then, it was my crutch to say, bump it. I'm going to just do whatever.
Yeah.
And I started ending up selling drugs and started participating in gang-related activities in Fort Pierce, and then when the circle started. In and out of jail for drug possession.
When did all of this stop? How and why?
It stopped back in 2009. I was in St. Lucie County Jail. I was facing 30 years for habitualized drug offender because I had so many drug felonies on my record that the state had was going to enhance me. And I was blaming everybody but myself.
That's usually how it works.
Yes, and if you've never been in jail, but they have like mirrors in the bathroom, and the mirrors you can't really see yourself clearly because they're aluminum. But this one particular day I was in there brushing my teeth and I seen myself clearly. So I think it was a come to Jesus moment. And so when I see myself clear in that mirror, I start pointing the fingers at everybody.
But just
and start pointing the fingers at myself.
That makes a tremendous difference. That's a key to success.
Yes, ma'am.
When you can take it and look inside.
Yes, ma'am.
And say, what can I do to make my life better? Forget about all that took place and happened.
Yes.
And all the people I think I can blame for it. But as an adult, now the blame is on me if I take the wrong turn.
Yes.
So in 2009, while you're in jail, you see yourself.
I see myself.
For the first time.
For the first time in my life.
Not so much the outward appearance, but you're looking within yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
And saying, what can I do to become different, to make my life better?
Yes, ma'am.
And then from that point, what took place?
I was blessed from having my lovely wife, and her mother was able to send me Bible scriptures and verses and be able to call home and not talk about stupid stuff, but they was imparting the word inside of me.
Okay.
And so then I kind of reflected back on the teachings that I was given coming up as a young person, as my grandma took me to the church, and these men.
So
that was
all these
involved,
seeds that were planted in your life
started manifesting.
it started manifesting.
Yes, ma'am.
You started growing some fruit there,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Wonderful.
And then
wonderful.
so when I was like facing 30 years, I went to court, and I knew I was gonna get some kind of prison time. I knew that, and by the grace of God, when I went to court for trial, the state had offered me a deal of a year in the county jail, and I signed that deal, but believing that it might not go through because I already just got out of prison a couple of months ago or a year ago for the same charges, that this judge that's already sent me off to prison twice already, he wasn't gonna go for it because he kind of know me personally. But that day I went in for sentencing, I didn't have that judge. I had a fill-in judge, and so it was like just like a blessing that I had a fill-in judge. He went with it, and he let me go home that same day.
So here's a good question for you right now. Do you believe in second chances? And explain that.
I do believe in second chances because during that sentencing, the judge looked at me and told me, he said, "No, but I don't think you'll be back in this courtroom again." And I looked at the judge and I said, "Your Honor, the next time you'll see me be on the other side helping somebody on this side." So that judge was able to give me a second chance, and I told him that I was going to do my best to help somebody from the other side of the pulpit and somebody in my position, so they'll try to make the better choices. So I believe everybody deserves a second chance as long as they put forth the effort.
Yes. And you named some people already, but I think the most important thing is that you had mentors.
Yes.
And even though it might have looked like a lost cause for you, the seeds that were planted all in your life during that time with your grandparents, even though you had all those challenges, the positive people that you had in life made a difference.
Yes.
And so with your work now, you understand that we can't, there's an old saying, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yes, ma'am.
But you certainly can plant, I call them seeds. And what is your foundation that causes you to want to do this? Do you feel this is your life calling, your purpose for life?
Yes, I feel like it's my purpose for life because God won't take you through something for nothing. If you went through it, that means you can bear it, and it's a testimony to give someone else. To tell the truth, I wouldn't take back nothing that happened to me in life because I'm able to be the person I am today because of the trial and error, because of the trauma that I went through. And so that makes me who I am.
What is your philosophy in life? What is your belief system in life, and how you feel that it should be?
Treat everybody like you want to be treated.
Okay.
So I treat a person like I want to be treated back. And I know if I treat people with love and kindness, I get love and kindness back. So that's my philosophy of life.
Now you're a leader now in this community. What advice would you give someone going into a leadership position for the first time, based on your experiences?
Okay, well,
because you started out,
yeah.
you started out as one of the outreach workers, and somehow you were able in 2 years to get a promotion to being a supervisor of a group of men in this outreach gang initiative. How did that happen? What can you give? What kind of advice can you give as you reflect someone that may be going into a leadership position for the first time?
First, you have to be humble. You have to be very humble, and you have to be able to take criticism.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to be humble, and you have to be able to take criticism. And you also have to have a nice support group outside of work. So if I'm telling you, you have to just be open-minded, observe, listen, humble yourself, and when things don't go your way, you know, just stick in there and learn. Because if you're a supervisor, there's somebody over top of you.
Yes.
And that person that's governing you, you have to learn from that person. And as you learn it from that person, they just doing nothing but making you a better person so you can do your job. So just be humble.
Yeah, I was going to go back to that. Be humble and also be able to take criticism.
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's where a lot of people falter, and it prevents them from moving forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Because a supervisor, whoever that person of leadership over an individual, they're looking at that. Can this person work with us and be part of the group and really accept whatever criticism as a way of growth?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have to have the right mindset. Is there any skills that you would like to learn now, and why? And you're talking to someone who believes that you can forever learn and do new things, and you know, life doesn't have to be in a box. So
Yes.
is there anything, if you could do anything you wanted to do as way of a skill, are you doing it now, or is it something else that you would like to add to that?
Yes, I need to get more education on computers.
Okay.
Now I know how to use a computer
Yeah.
and software, but just to get more proficient on it.
Yes, because that's definitely
Yes.
the upcoming thing to have, right?
Yes, because being a supervisor, I enjoy going out in the streets and having those face-to-face contacts with the youth. But being a supervisor, you have to kind of change hats. So it's now more in the office, making sure paperwork right, and you have to do certain things, and so.
Yes. Now we're running out of time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
'Cause this this has been a
Okay.
great interview.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to know real quick, do you have a teacher that pops up in your mind that made the most impact on you, and why was that? You've got like 30 seconds to share that with me.
Miss Grimsley, this my senior math teacher. I had the big head seniorities at Lincoln Park Academy, so I think I was in trigonometry my senior year, and I didn't do nothing in the first half of my senior year in math class, due to the part that I started indulging in drug use, marijuana.
time, okay.
Yes, ma'am. And so I just was doing nothing in that class, and as a senior, I'm like, I already had all my credits to graduate. I already passed the HSCT, so I was graduating. But she was concerned, and she called my grandma, and she told my grandma, your grandson has so much potential, but he's not doing nothing in my class. And as she was a black teacher, and my grandma was like, no, it's not going down. And so my grandma just got on me, and I was kind of upset, but that really showed that she cared. That she cared, and so
she reached out to your home.
She reached
and
out
your parents.
to my home and said I had potential, and in that second semester I made a be in her class.
Mr. Darcy McFolly, thank you so much for coming on and being a speaker today.
Thank you for having me.
It has been such a thrill and a pleasure, and we thank our audience for attending today. Hope you learned something that will make a difference.